I think that certainly makes sense to discuss.
Privacy in 2020 is under a greater attack than ever before, and the major pushing force is deception.
And we do not sell data to advertisers.
Well,
we don't sell data to
clearly
anyone.
rented.
We go to great lengths to protect their privacy, and we give them transparency, choice, and control.
If our customer was our product, we could make a ton of money. We've elected not to do that.
All major tech companies are now heavily running on the promise of protecting your data and not selling it to advertisers. And that's while they're luring you into their ecosystems. The Big Five is literally everywhere. If you just end up running a cookie or a tracking script on some random website, or that game you love playing has some hidden Facebook code in it that automatically sends all your phone's data to Facebook even if you don't have an account, your data is being linked, so that wherever you go, the Big Five has their eyes on you, ready to monetize even the little space on your phone's push notifications.
We could make a ton of money if we monetized our customer.
Thanks, Tim. I'll take it from here. At any given moment, the Big Five is following you throughout your whole digital presence. From communication, through socializing, chatting, web browsing, searching, shopping, streaming, working, gaming, to living your virtual life in whatever other way. This data linkability is the biggest menace to our digital privacy and is the strongest weapon of data hoarders. If they can find two matching data points, you're linked. To regain your digital privacy means cutting the links between your data points, and the best way to do it is through compartmentalization. It means isolating all of these activities into their own data compartments. We want to carefully choose our providers so that no one is trusted with more than one service at a time. That means your email provider should only handle your emails and not also be your search engine or instant messenger. Privacy compartmentalization is your best defense against data linkability. Let's start with the easiest and among the most significant compartments, search and browsing. These two activities, if tracked, can reveal a lot about your inner thoughts and most private moments, and it can directly impact your health or home insurance fees, quality of services, or flow of information. For search, there are plenty of privacy-respecting alternatives. For now, it's DuckDuckGo, Quant, Startpage, and StormX. I personally use DuckDuckGo the most, but to diversify my sources, I like to combine with others when researching stuff. But if you are doing all of your searches on Chrome, Safari, or Edge, then your searches could still be tracked. This is why it is important to secure your browsing with a privacy-focused web browser. For normies, I would recommend Brave, simply because it provides the most protection out of the box without tweaking it. And if you want to be really sure no one is snooping on your browsing and searching, use Tor Browser. Android and all desktops are officially supported, and iOS has an official yet still sufficient Onion browser. Tor Browser gives you a fresh clean slate every new session, which is important. You should say goodbye to the bad habit of storing all of your browser data indefinitely. If you don't delete cookies, cache, and history, then websites can still track you. Brave doesn't delete your browser data upon exit by default, so I highly recommend reconfiguring Brave in its simpler privacy settings. Tor will hide your IP address and conceal your browsing from your ISP. Its default settings are fine for normies, but if you expect reasonable anonymity, you should set the security slider to the safest mode. This will make Tor Browser block all JavaScript and media, which is essential to prevent tracking. To unbreak websites that can't function without JavaScript, use NoScript extension to manually re-enable them. The most secure browser for Android is Bromide, which is only available on F-Droid or on their official website. So if you're brave enough, I would recommend Bromide over Brave. If you want to be able to do multiple things at once, it's best to use different browsers or separate browser profiles with strong privacy configuration so that no two trackers are loaded on multiple browser sessions at once. For this purpose, I recommend Firefox with privacy-hardened and purpose-driven profiles. Firefox is excellent at compartmentalized web browsing in cases where Tor is too slow or flat-out blocked. You can have one profile for shopping, another one for video streaming, and so on. I covered hardening Firefox for privacy before in multiple videos, and I won't go over it here since not much has changed. If you want a detailed guide, I'll link to it in the description. But while we are still at browser level, there's a new innovation finally hitting mainstream: socialism. Socialism for apps. Progressive web apps. These are website versions of native mobile apps that are run by your browser, but can be installed on your home screen and function as standalone apps with notifications and other features. The best thing about PWAs is that your phone's data is better protected from permission-invasive apps like social media. PWAs don't have access to your contacts, files, or background location, so they're much better for privacy than native apps. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Uber, Telegram, among many others support PWAs, and all mainstream browsers are PWA enabled. So the best way to use social media apps is to have a dedicated browser to run them as progressive web apps. Since social media is already privacy invasive, you can even use your default browser for this like Chrome or Safari, but make sure you only use this browser for PWAs and nothing else. Progressive web apps are now supported on most desktops too. On Android, there is a fast application called Web Apps available from F-Droid that can basically turn any website into a sandbox and secure home screen app, so it can be used for websites that don't have PWA support yet. Now let's move on to private chatting. At the moment, your instant messaging is centralized within mainstream social media applications, but there are good encrypted messengers that also take further steps to protect your metadata, your contacts, timestamps, location, etc. The gold standard is Signal, easy to use and super easy to transition to. It uses your phone number for registration, but the app is end-to-end encrypted and the servers store no metadata for longer than necessary to deliver the message. Use Signal to privately communicate with your close friends and family. And I can hear your objections. But nobody's using Signal. How am I supposed to communicate? All it takes to convert your friends is a text message you can send them straight from Signal with a direct link to install it on their phones. It's the easiest thing in the world they would have to do, and it costs them nothing. There's no excuse not to use Signal, unless you're looking for something that can withstand the adversity of a national crisis and you need total anonymity. In that case, look no further than Briar. This is a peer-to-peer encrypted messenger that works over Tor and even Bluetooth. Briar requires no personal information upon sign-up, and there are no central servers that could be compromised. In 2020, nobody should be using email. I mean, the technology is as old as fax. But whenever you subscribe for something or create an account, it usually can't go without an email address, which is now the Achilles heel of your privacy because it consolidates shopping, banking, subscriptions, and other services in one place. So you should make these places private as possible. There are currently two extremely good encrypted email providers, Tutanoda and ProtonMail. MailFence is also good, but you'd have to sync it with an email client on phone like Fair Email or K9. ProtonMail and Tutanoda have excellent open source mobile apps. They store all of your emails encrypted, which means they are not reading it, and also that they are not letting advertisers or the government read it either, which is what can't be told about any of the mainstream options. For maximum privacy, you should create a separate email account for different utilities. Have at least one for shopping, one for social media accounts, and one for personal communication. Eventually, even work and banking deserves their own separate email addresses. You can go really crazy and create a new email account for every website and not use your real name in any of your email addresses. If you do this, then it becomes significantly harder for anyone to track your online presence through your email. Handling so many email accounts can be made easier with an email client, so to keep them away from the big five, use Thunderbird for desktop or aforementioned K9 or Fair Email for mobile. At this point, it can become cumbersome to manage so many different accounts. You should definitely avoid reusing passwords, and that's where password managers come in place. But again, you want to avoid the ecosystem trap. The best password managers currently are Bitwarden for normies and KeePass XC for deletes. Secure all your accounts with second-factor authentication, but don't use Google Authenticator and definitely avoid using your SMS for 2FA. Use FreeOTP or EndOTP instead. These are both good free software one-time password generating apps. Isolating your security is excellent at keeping it away from the big five that are prone to disproportionately attract hackers and cybercrime. In my security tutorials, I always tout using an application firewall on your phone, and that is true for enhancing your privacy as well. The best option for Android is NetGuard, which is completely free and open source, and iOS rocks with Lockdown, which also blocks specific network connections. The biggest privacy benefit of using an application firewall is that you can block unnecessary internet access to apps that don't need it and which only use it to drag your data from your phone to their remote servers. By isolating our searching, browsing, chatting, and email communication, we essentially learned how to keep the big five from cross-tracking between our different activities. With this mindset, you can expand to whatever other area of your digital life. A couple of good examples that deserve to be mentioned here are Nextcloud as a replacement for G Drive or any other cloud storage. The free version offers significantly smaller storage than that of mainstream cloud providers, but remember, there is no cloud, only other people's computers. So if you are not paying for the storage with money, they are gonna pay for it with your data. You should encrypt your files before uploading them. The most convenient solution is through Cryptomatter that works with any service and can do the job automatically for you. A more savvy but still doable solution is Veracrypt, which offers extremely strong encryption and data security that's completely in your hands. I also totally love using Openstreetmap automated navigation directions, or OSMAND. It's a full-featured Google Maps replacement without any of that location tracking that's constantly going on with Google. There's a free version of this with limited scope, but you can add more maps with a small purchase. Which again goes back to my previous point of how no service is truly free and it's either paid for by cash or data. F-Droid is one of the reasons why Android can be better at privacy than iOS. It's a repository of free and open source apps for pretty much everything you need on your phone. It's like Play Store, but without all that evil Google stuff. And I highly recommend finding a replacement for all of your default apps. And I mentioned this as my last point, custom ROMs. By flashing a Lineage OS, you can get an open source Android phone that is completely Google free. Graphene OS is a security-focused mobile OS made for Pixel phones. So if you have one of those and want the best security currently available on a smartphone, go for Graphene. Oh, and if you want to rewatch this video without YouTube knowing about it, just head to Invidious, search for my channel and watch my content free from Google's creepy eyes. Fire up Tor Browser with maximum security for absolute anonymity. This front-end YouTube alternative works without JavaScript, which is awesome. If you want a full YouTube client for your phone, then NewPipe is the best fast replacement. Learning the mindset of data compartmentalization can get you really far with your digital privacy. It will also block all ads on my videos, so if you like this content, I would humbly appreciate your support on my Patreon or through my crypto wallets. I understand if you don't do it, in which case I kindly ask you for your engagement so that YouTube recommends this advice to more people. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you found this video helpful, please subscribe, and have a nice day.